Strong looks different for each of us, and it's time to put focus on our unique journeys that get us there. This space created weekly is for athletes to improve their mindset in order to better navigate challenges that come up in sport and in different seasons of life. On this show, we ask the questions that lead to better answers and have the conversations that truly matter. This is the Becoming Your Strong podcast. Hey, you guys, welcome back to another episode of the Becoming Your Strong podcast. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday weekend and had a chance to refresh. And for those of you listening, I'm assuming that you're gearing up for the DEKA FIT Colorado coming up this weekend. Or you may be doing a DEKA FIT at some point this year and you've just been following the show and want to hear what I have to say. Either way, welcome. Excited to have you. Before we jump into some of the things that I want to walk you guys through, give you some tips on anything from the physical stuff, the nutritional stuff, just what goes on the course, how to prepare, all those different things, even some race strategy based things. I want to take a moment to shout out just a Becoming Your Strong moment of the week. One of my clients and friends, Mr. Ryan, who ran his very first 10K during the Boulder this, I guess it wasn't this last weekend, it was today. We did it this morning. I was so proud of him and so excited. I remember late last year after I think Olivia and I, or actually, you know what? I think this was the week that Olivia and I were preparing to go out to DEKA World Championships. So like the first week of December. And he was like, hey, like I see you guys like wanting to do these half marathons and push yourself in these ways. I feel like I need to do that too. Will you train me to do something? And he was originally going to jump on board and go straight for the half marathon, never really running a 5K or a 10K. And I was like, maybe we go with the 10K option first. And so he chose the Boulder, which I thought was a phenomenal choice. And for the last, 5 to 6 months, he's stuck with it. And he's trained not every single day, but he stuck to his training plan. And what was so cool was to watch him like come into today and have like a plan of how he wanted to attack it. He knew when he was going to take a break, when he was going to take a gel, and he ran his own race and he did it with a smile on his face. And I could tell when he was pushing through the hard. And I just think that that's cool. And I think the bigger of the things that I wanted to point out here is sometimes you might lose maybe some sort of motivation or spark or inspiration to do things yourself. Like literally ride someone else's coattails. Go and be around people that are going to level you up and see what they're doing and find the inspiration there. Start to follow them in what they're doing. And I think that you'll find yourself getting involved in some pretty incredible things that you never thought that you could do or accomplish. And I think that this was a testament to Ryan, his ability to say, hey, this is not my forte, but I know that I need to do something. Am I going to hate it? Yes. But am I going to find joy through it? Am I going to complete it and find a way to get myself across the finish line? Absolutely. And he did nothing short of that. So I was just really proud of him and I wanted to shout you up, bud. Alrighty, let's chat, guys. DEKA FIT Denver is upon us in a few days. And I wanted to do a special episode for those of you running in it or running another DEKA FIT this year and talk about things of what to do in the week leading up to it, in the day of, like what to do actually that morning in the day of competing it, and talk through some race strategy type things. I've been doing DEKA now since, let's see, what year was it? 2023. That was my first world championship. So I have a couple years underneath my belt, and there's a lot of things that I know that I think other people know, but I find that they don't know them. So something even small or minuscule that I say today might be the light bulb that you needed to have a really good race experience this upcoming weekend. So we're going to chat through all the things. And I want to talk about first in the week leading up to the race, because there's some important stuff going on here. And the reason that I say that is because I am a DEKA affiliate. I'm the DEKA program coordinator at Pursuit up here in Windsor. And I cannot tell you how often, it never ceases to fail, how many people get hurt in the days leading up to the freaking race. Y'all, chill it out. Truly, if you want to know a lot of the magic behind all this licensure, certification, the experience that I have, here's the real, here's the science. You're not going to really be able to move the needle right now. Okay. Maybe 10 days out, that would be the last day that you could probably absorb something like adaptation wise in order for you to actually utilize that on race day. But in the week leading up to it, the only job you have is to stay sane and to stay healthy. Because if you can't make it to the starting line, well, my friend, you just missed out on however many hundreds of dollars that you just spent and a chance to do something really cool and really freaking fun. So please do not think that you need to like draw the hammer down now, even if you didn't have the best training block. I know that there were times where I've talked about it on this podcast over the last couple of weeks. There's been times where I've been frustrated that I haven't gotten into the training that I ideally would have wanted to. However, I know that I'm not going to try and push myself to do it in these last few days leading up to it because nothing can realistically happen. And at this point, now it's just time to soak in and enjoy all of the work that I've done, that I've put in, not just in the last 3 to 6 months, but in the last 3 years that I've been stepping up to DEKA start lines, regardless of the discipline. So truly, when it comes to this week, please do not do anything intense past Wednesday. Because again, you're not going to move the needle. It's fine to do like some primary type stuff where maybe you touch an EMOM, where it gets your heart rate up and you're doing the skills, right? You're sharpening the axe, you're priming the system, you're staying loose and you're feeling good and athletic, but you're not trying to move the needle in your fitness. There's a very, very fine line there. These should be confidence building workouts, not let me crush myself and my soul type of workouts, okay? So truly, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I mean, if you want to even look at my week today, basically I was a zone 1, zone 2 easy jog with Ryan for the Boulder. Tomorrow is going to be like a strength primer sort of day. So lighter load, just working through being like explosive, keeping my fast twitch muscles primed for this weekend. Wednesday is going to be an EMOM sort of type thing where I'm working on the machines. I love this workout so much, but just doing one last little bit of machine work. Resting on Thursday, Friday doing a little shakeout run, which by the way, you guys, I do not have the details on this yet and I'm waiting for it, but they reached out to me, they being DEKA, and asked me to be the host of a shakeout run. So please stay tuned for those details. Hopefully they're coming out soon, considering that it's Monday and you guys are listening to this on Tuesday. So we'll stay tuned for that. But that's literally what I do. There's nothing needle moving. In fact, I'm focusing on a few things. Again, mobility and staying loose. I'm focusing on sleep consistency, not just making sure I get enough hours in, but I'm waking up and going to bed at the same time, really controlling those before bed activities so that way I'm getting the deepest sleep possible. Because here's the other thing. Most people can't sleep the night before a race. So what's even more important is the nights leading up to the night before you race that you get really good quality, consistent sleep. And then this one I always like to touch on is how much do I carb load? How much do I like store up the glycogen in my body so that I can perform? Well, this is going to be varied based off of the fitness level. It's going to be varied on how long you spend on the course. I'm planning to spend anywhere from 35 to 38 minutes on the course. You might be planning to spend an hour plus on the course. And in that case, you might need a little bit more fueling than I would need, right? And I am not a registered dietitian here, but please take all of my stuff with a grain of salt, but I've worked with a lot of them in terms of fueling for these kinds of things. And here's what I will say. The DEKA FIT is not a big enough race where you need to do like a 3-day massive carb load leading up to it. High Rock's a little different, again, because you're out there for an hour, hour and a half, depending, again, on your level. For the DEKA FIT, quite honestly, I think you could look on doing something middle of the day Thursday, eating a little bit extra on Friday, but not so heavy that it makes you feel like just going into Saturday. And that's really it. And when I say a little bit extra, it's like grabbing an extra serving of carbs to whatever it is that you're eating. So let's say you're having a snack and you normally have a protein bar, whatever, right? Yogurt. Add some carbs to that. Add some fruit to that, right? Maybe add a little bit extra to that. And you just do that for every single meal. Again, still feeling light, still feeling like, okay, I'm not like trying to shove food down my throat, but just a little bit than you would normally do. That I think is totally fine. Really making sure that you're hydrated as well too is going to be a big thing. And I'll even just mention this ahead of time too. As we go into the day of the race and what you're actually doing, Probably want to take a look at some sort of intra-fueling if you were planning on being out there more than 35 to 40-ish minutes, just because of the systems that you're utilizing and your body's starting to break down and probably needing certain things. So speaking of which, let's talk about the day of the actual race itself. When you wake up, like look at the 2 hours before you're supposed to race and get something solid in. And when I say something solid, I don't mean a yogurt. I hate when people tell me like, oh, well, I had like this smoothie. I had this yogurt. What? Did it have mostly fat and protein in it? That's the last thing our body's going to utilize for a high intensity race. We need carbs. We need sugar. We need things that are going to digest well. Okay. And the fats and the proteins are not necessarily those things. And so I'm talking things like bread, just straight up bagel, preferably things that don't have like a ton of fiber. You could eat something with a rich in fiber nutrient profile 2 hours before, because you will have time to digest it. But guys, we're looking for things that will actually sit well in the stomach. After that, at that point, when it's about 30 minutes into your race, that's when you're looking to do your final little bit of any sort of eating, whether it's like an energy waffle, sugar, candy, like really top off those glycogen storages so that way your body is ready to utilize them when you actually go. That's what I would say in relation to the fueling side of it and what you want to be eating. And like I said, if you are out there for longer, 40 to 60 minutes, what we're looking at. I know that when my DEKA FIT was originally, I think my very first time was like a 42 and some change. Like I took a gel out there with me because I know right around that 30-minute mark, I start to bonk. And if I'm out there for an additional 10 to 15 minutes, like that back half is going to be really, really rough for me. So taking something around like the med ball sit-ups before you go into the ski is a great time to do that. And I'm talking about like gels. I've also seen people stuff like candy in their shorts or down their sports bra, just something that you can easily utilize. I will say as a forewarning, you are not allowed to take drinks on the course with you. They will not allow it, especially the ruckers. Don't even try to sneak it in your pack. Trust me on that one. They will have water around the course, but it will just be straight up water. There's no like carbohydrate or electrolyte mix that's in there. So make sure you do all of your actual hydration beforehand and just take little snacks on the course actually with you. Let's talk about warm up, because this part is really important. It kills me when y'all spend so much time and effort training for this, and then your warm-up is like, okay, I'm going to touch my toes and swing my legs a little bit and twist side to side and crack my neck, and then I'm going to go. Y'all, please don't do that. You have to realize the race that you're doing is requiring some high-level energy systems. With that being said, we need to treat the warm-up as such. At least 10 to 15 minutes of aerobic work. Sometimes I even do up to 20. And this isn't like super hard aerobic work. This is like going on a zone 1, zone 2 jog for 10 to 15 minutes outside or around the arena to get your system firing. Because here's the thing. You have to go through all those zones to get to the higher zone. And if those lower zones aren't primed, guess what's going to happen? You're going to shoot straight through them and go straight to the higher zone. And I'm sorry, being in zones 4 through 5 for, 40 to 60 minutes sounds terrible. Like right away. Give yourself a second just to at least buy yourself dinner first or something, right? So I digress on that because I'll go on a tangent. But spend at least 10 to 15 minutes of your time doing some sort of warm-up. Go sit on a bike. Go sit on, maybe don't sit on the rower for 15, 20 minutes. Someone else might want to use it. But get some time underneath you. And then from that point, what I will do is I will do my activation for running. So things like calves, shins, glutes, hamstrings, quads, hip flexors, those things that I know that are important, that are going to be working really hard during the race. And just some basic like push-pull, because I'm going to be doing a lot of pulling and a lot of pushing, and I want to have those ready to rumble. That takes me about 10 minutes or so to do. Then you stack on, I want to go through, I want to touch every station just to get that firing, get the system primed, and then you go. And typically I will do this. This warm-up probably will take you 30 to 40 minutes if you follow it as such. It'll give you time to go to the bathroom, and I recommend getting to the start line anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes early. That way you can take a chance to like just breathe, get in the right headspace. Again, use the bathroom last minute if you need to, and then go and do your thing. What I will also recommend, okay, this doesn't have to be a part of your warm up. Maybe you show up just even a little bit earlier before you warm up to figure out the machines. Doesn't matter if you're a first timer or not, if you're a veteran or not, all of the machines are now different. They're probably not like anything you've practiced with in the gym before. So when I say get a hold of the machines and figure out how they work, I'm talking about things like the damper setting on both the ski and the row work, going through that, feeling it, seeing, okay, does this feel too heavy? Does this feel too light? Am I able to cut through resistance well? Thinking about transitions, right? The rower, the feet straps are different. There's ways to do like a quick pull and escape quickly. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's a thing. Things like the bike setting and how to actually bring the bike up versus bringing it down, how to do that quickly, how to set the damper or the resistance setting on the actual bike, how long does it take for the machines to turn on? Like those are the little things you want to learn. Because if you go into the race and you don't know what that looks like, it takes you out of flow state. And that's where we don't want to operate from, is being out of flow state. I want you to go to flow state and enjoy the shit out of it, because that's the reason why we race in the first place. So that's what I'd say the actual day of, or those are the things that you want to focus on, and just some timing around some of those things. Now let's talk about the actual race and the strategy behind it. So I have not run this race discipline as many times as I have run things like the strong or the mile, but also having a perspective of running more of those other races. Now I have a very interesting lens on how the fit is done and different ways that you can be pushed as an athlete. And so when I look at the DEKA FIT, guys, at the end of the day, while it is only 5 kilometers, this is still a running race, and you need to treat it as such. Push the runs and chill the stations. And when I say chill the stations, I don't mean like go take a nap on them, but I'm also not meaning go and like row as hard as you can because you have an ego and you want to see a certain pace pop up on the screen. And then by the time that you get off, you have no legs and you're falling over the box. Okay. So that is what I mean by chill the stations, is you want your RPE through these stations to feel fairly moderate, like you're smooth, because smooth is fast. And if you're able to manage that well, you're going to be able to manage your heart rate well, and you're going to be able to go out on those runs and actually give it a little bit of push. Now, this is up to you as far as how you want the actual running piece of it to go. Maybe you want to be the person that goes out crazy and see how long you hang on for. Don't necessarily recommend that. But for me, I look at this very similar to like a half marathon or a 10K. You want to start at a comfortably uncomfortable like place and then start to negative split it from there. If you start out way too hard because you let the adrenaline of the moment get the best of you, which I get it, that happens to all of us at certain points in times, then I think you're going to find yourself in a hole really quickly. So take a step back, take a deep breath, start at a pace that you're like, okay, maybe I'm not the first one into the lunges, but that's okay, because I'm going to start to negative split them and start to pick off the time as I go. Because when you allow for yourself to gain a few seconds on those things, you're going to gain minutes on the back half. So just like the strong and just like the mile, personally, especially if this is your first time, you want the RPE to feel nothing more than moderate until the ski-erg. And then at that point, you let it rip, because you're halfway through the race, and that's the time to start to make moves. And I wanted to talk about some of the stations and where you could make the moves. And this is, again, maybe based off of your tenure, your strengths, and your weaknesses, but I find that people make their moves really early in the race and then they're dying to hang on, and 9 times out of 10 they don't. Now, if you are an elite racer and you've done this several times like myself, my strategy is going to look different this time. I have never done this before, but I'm going to find someone of a similar level with me, and I'm just going to hang on to them and hold on for dear life, because I need to learn how to suffer. But I've been doing this enough times now where I'm at that place. If I'm ever going to grow, I got to suffer a little bit. I'm not saying that that's for you. I'm speaking to the people that genuinely are like, hey, I'm trying to attack this the right way for the first time. Here's what I would do. So with that being said, going back to where you can make the most moves, honestly, I think that it's all hiding in the last 3 stations. It's hiding in the runs and how you're able to execute consistently the last 3 stations. I cannot tell you how many moves get made on something like the tank. The tank is honestly the moneymaker, and I think that's the station that people train the least, honestly. So with that being said, the consistency in stations 8 through 10, being able to take one step in front of the other and just continue to move even when it hurts, that is going to allow for you maybe to surpass other people, but to do a lot better, maybe PR, chop off some time. So if you're going to make moves, have enough in the gas tank to make moves in those last 3 stations. So to recap on that, moderate effort up to the ski erg, then slowly start to turn the dial, make your moves in the last 3 stations, give those last little bit of burpees absolute hell, and run across that finish line with all the freaking joy and fury because you just did it. Let's see here. Some other things to think about. Oh, I think I've already talked about this, but your danger zones are going to be the ergs, the row and the ski erg, especially now with the newer machines where we're still figuring out how they work. So again, please take my advice and chilling out on those. When it comes to the actual paces, I've tried to get a gauge on how different they are. And it seems like the row erg is maybe like people are 3 to 5 seconds off than what they are on a concept 2, and that's in total time. And then for the ski erg, closer to 10 to 20 seconds. So truly, what I would do is maybe if you know what pace you normally go on the row erg and the ski erg, add a couple of seconds to that and give yourself a range. So for example, my range on the row erg, because again, I like to chill out, and you guys are probably going to laugh at this number, but it's the reason why I laugh at you when I surpass you at the end. I don't row anything faster than 2 minutes. I go 2 minutes to 2:04. Probably going to hang back to 2:05, 2:10. Again, I'm going to play with the machine and see how I feel, but that's what I'm saying by add like 3 to 5 seconds to your normal split range. So that way you have a good idea of maybe what that could feel like. Same thing with the ski erg. Bar none though, you guys, go off of feel. If you feel like you're halfway through the row or the ski and you are huffing and puffing and your legs are starting to burn or whatever the case is, dial it back. I know it's going to suck and you're going to want to push through, but trust me, the few seconds that you take in dialing it back will pay you on the back end. A bike tip for those of you that may or may not know, you will not know the actual resistance of the damper setting until you actually start going. So when you start pedaling, it sounds like the monitor lags to turn on. And as you start going and accumulating calories, then it actually shows you what resistance level you are on the screen. So if I were you, I would not start going hard until you know what resistance level you are at. As far as, Kayla, what's your recommendation on what resistance level? I couldn't tell you because I haven't been on the bike yet, but I have seen certain people attempt it with a higher damper and certain people attack it with the lower damper. The people with the lower clearly have a higher cadence than the people with the higher damper setting. And what I've come to find is more people are having better success with the moderate, maybe to lower damper setting. So take that for what it's worth. Again, this is where you play around in the actual warm-up area ahead of time just to figure out and strategize it. And at the end of the day, I also think that you can change it in the middle if you absolutely need to. But again, those are the things that you want to try and figure out beforehand. Last little few tips here in terms of strategy. When you come out of hard stations, so things like the bike, things like the tank, things like the ski erg, where your heart rate is elevated and you feel super fatigued, the hardest thing is going to be controlling your thoughts. Controlling your thoughts around the pain and how your body feels, all of that. Please note, again, I have done this enough times, especially some of these longer running races. Give yourself a lap. Give yourself a lap to just breathe through it and work through it. Maybe your cadence is a little bit slower. Maybe you're running a little bit slower. That is okay. But tell your mind, give yourself a lap. And then when you come around for that second lap, I can almost guarantee that you are going to feel like you have a little bit of charge left in you, unless you didn't take any of my advice, you went out way too hot and your system is taxed. Then you might be feeling something a little different. But truly, 30 to 45 seconds after something hard and my heart rate starts to come back down, it's incredible of like, oh, like I'm actually fine. Control your thoughts around that as best as you possibly can. And if it's literally just saying one more lap, just give me the one more lap and things are going to feel better, whatever that is, it will truly help you. At the end of the day, you guys, this race is truly about consistency. It is not about, like, think about the tortoise and the hare, right? The hare ended up losing because it went out hot and it executed all of its ego and all of its speed and all of the crazy strengths that it had. But the tortoise ended up winning because it took the idea of the long game. Think of this as the long game, and it's just about consistency. Will your paces be slower than maybe what you practice in the gym for the first couple of stations? Yeah. But how amazing would it feel to actually have some juice on the back end and run into those burpees being like, I can do this and I'm going to finish strong. There is no better feeling than that, right? And there's also going to be the flip times where you execute a race strategy perfectly and you are dying and things are not okay. That's a part of it, right? What a gift that is. Can we just talk about what a gift that is, that you get to go to that place? You're probably looking at me sideways right now as I'm sharing this, but what a gift it is to go to that place and have to trust ourselves, to have to depend on ourselves. You get to do that. And when you do that and you prove to yourself that you can, the belief that you build within yourself, the joy that you will cross that finish line in, it is unlike anything else. So when pain comes knocking on your door, you greet it like it's a friend that you know, saying, hey, I've been waiting for you, my dear old friend. And you say, okay, it is my goal, it is my job right now to see just how much I can handle you, to not shy away from it, but to continue to push through consistently one step at a time despite it. And at the end of the day, also remember your why you're stepping up to the starting line, and try not to take yourself so seriously. Like, these races are so important to us because we spend the time, we spend the money, the effort, we spend so much energy in these things. And again, what a gift it is that we have something that we care about so much to do that for. But your only job is to enjoy it, is to actually smile at the starting line, realizing that you're faster, you're fitter, you're stronger, you're braver, you're more courageous than you were 6 months ago when you decided to be crazy and sign up for this race and train for it. Celebrate that. That is the best thing of all. So if there's one thing that you do this upcoming weekend, it's stand there at the starting line so sure and so confident in why you're stepping up. Smile, give yourself a pat on the back, and let it rip. Thank you guys so much for showing up for you today. I hope this episode truly helps. Please be sure to send this to friends, family that are racing this weekend, or anyone that's attempting a DEKA FIT that you think would find this episode helpful. If you guys need me at all, have any questions, please follow my social media for any additional tips, and also for the shakeout run that's hopefully still happening Friday evening at some point. And I'm so excited to hopefully see so many of you at the event this upcoming weekend. All right, you guys, we'll see you next time.